What's going on, everybody? It's me, Ste here, and today we are going to talk about what is probably by far the most important skill you can have in modern O's. And seriously, it actually has nothing to do with the current farm meta, because it honestly doesn't really matter what kinds of maps you actually want to play. Whether it's streams, WAP maps, or dumb DT farm trash, you will always need to be able to play jumps. Like, they are such a fundamental part of the game that when some people in my Discord, you should join by the way, link is in the description, told me that they didn't know how to play jumps, I genuinely thought that they were trolling. Like, they weren't new players anymore, but the fuck have they been playing to get to their current ranks then? Anyways, let's not get lost in some random stories. The only reason we're here today is so I can give you my 5-digit certified pro opinion on how to play jumps. So without further ado, if you haven't already, like and subscribe, and let's get right into it. Now, this video is going to be separated into individual chapters, which you can see on screen right now. Plus, if you want to jump to any particular one, you can just find the timestamps down in the description. However, I would really recommend that you watch all of it, cause there might still be some information you didn't know about before. But let's not waste any more time and actually get going. Alright, let's start this video out with the same question that I asked in my stream guide. So at what point should you actually start playing jumps? More or less, as soon as you know the game's basic fundamentals, because unlike with streams, you want to learn jumps as soon as possible. No, hold your horses there. Just cause you should start developing your skills does not mean you should start farming already. And you can trust me on that one, cause as a past 6-digit who also thought I could basically play 7 stars already, let me tell you, there are wrong ways to learn jumps. Just in case you don't know what I'm talking about, there is a massive difference between randomly hitting jumps and actually being able to play them. And especially with modern day farm maps, which might as well be called corner jump practice most of the time, that becomes really apparent. Cause they are designed to give better players a ton of PP rather easily, which is why, even if it may not seem like that for you, they have rather simple patterns. Like, of course, if you don't have the aim skills, you're going to struggle with it, but the patterns are really predictable, so you can basically just fling your cursor in a general direction and eventually you'll hit it. However, that just does not mean that you can actually play the map. Like, of course, once you can actually play the patterns, it's a completely different story. But as a rule of thumb, if you go into a map with the mindset of, I really hope I hit that pattern, instead of consciously knowing that you technically can, you might want to reconsider if you're already at the skill level required for it. Now, this of course does not mean that you should only play maps which are already inside of your skill range, cause how are you going to improve like that? But it's more just something to keep in the back of your mind when you hit that 50th retry of Padru Padru. But now that we know what you shouldn't do, let's talk about something which you should do instead. That being how to play patterns the right way. Now, what you might have noticed is that jumps don't just come as one-offs, cause most of the time they are actually in patterns. Now, there are a lot of different patterns you can arrange your jumps in, but the most well-known are stars, squares, triangles, and of course the 1-2 jump. But regardless of whether or not it's one of those, or just a random arrangement of jumps, it is really important that you don't just read them as a pattern. Like, it is especially noticeable with square jumps when people do that, cause they'll just play it like a circle for some reason. But instead, what you want to do is actually separate the pattern into individual chunks. Especially with the square, you basically have the first jump, the second one, and then the third. And if you read it like that, you are never going to play it like a circle ever again. And it basically works just the same way for all other patterns. Now, however, this is only really going to be something which you're going to do in the beginning, cause eventually, when you look at a pattern, it should just happen subconsciously. Cause, seriously, imagine playing any high star map and consciously thinking about every single jump. Like, of course, this isn't going to work. But especially if you struggle with those patterns, it's really going to help you in the beginning. And that should basically cover it. Next up, let's talk about the types of maps you should play. Now, in my opinion, the best maps to actually practice your jump skills are unranked jump training packs. And even though I ragged on them for the entire last segment, also jump farm maps, but not the ones which are outside of your skill range, but the ones you can actually play. But you should treat them the same way as the jump training packs. Meaning, don't retry, but actually play through the entire map, cause let's be real here, they are basically jump training anyways. But one of the primary reasons why I would suggest jump trainings above them is because you usually don't quit out after the first miss, but just play through the entire thing, cause you know you aren't getting PP either way. However, if you manage to apply this mindset to the jump farm trash, it will work just as well. However, I know just as well myself how hard it can actually be to stick to that, cause you'll suddenly miss in the first 200 combo and be like, I know I can FC that, so let me just retry this once, and all of a sudden you're at 50 retries. So yeah, you will need a bit of self-control when you try to practice with those. And if you're able to do that, I would also really recommend that you play longer maps, because not only will they help you with your jumps, but also with stamina and consistency. But then again, if you want any particular map recommendations, I already made a video about that, so I'll just leave a link to that and let's get on with the video. Yes, even though I said I'm done with recommending maps, there are also some which I really want to advise you against. That being the jump practice maps, which only consist of the pattern you're trying to train. Cause honestly, there really isn't any song out there which actually matches this type of mapping. Therefore, you're just hitting random circles to an offbeat music, so yeah, best to avoid that. And the other issue with it is that it's once again going to be 100% predictable, which means you aren't going to play the pattern because you actually read it, but because you know that it would be there. And of course, the ideal goal is that you can actually start sight-reading maps, which you won't be able to if you just play it from memory. But now, let's talk about how to actually play jumps while using different mod combinations. Now, of course, the first mod you're probably thinking of when you hear jump maps is going to be double time, which then leads us to the current farm meta, but that's more just to set your scores once you actually got good. Instead, the mod I would really recommend you play when you want to improve your jump skills is going to be hidden. Now, hidden makes it so you have to think a lot more consciously about the individual jumps. Plus, it really forces you to listen to the music in order to hit the notes, which is great because while aiming should happen on reaction, the actual clicking of the circle should still be tied to the music, cause doing so will improve your accuracy quite significantly. Now, while doing research for this video, another mod which got recommended to me was Easy. Personally, I can't really attest to that cause I absolutely hate this mod, but if you don't despise it, it might be something worth looking into. However, I can't really give any in-depth insight on that. However, what I can offer instead is a funny video about how to learn it. And with that, we've more or less covered all of the topics I wanted to get into, so in conclusion, all I can really say is that jumps are an absolutely essential part of the game. However, when trying to learn it, please don't try to rush it, cause all that'll lead to is hand pain as well as getting fed up with the game. So seriously, just take your time, cause let me tell you, there really isn't any gold pot at the end of the rainbow. Instead, what makes Oh so special is the self-improvement along the way, cause every single day you can be a little better than the last. And on that note, we've reached the end of today's video. I really hope you've enjoyed, and if you did, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and with that, see you next time.